absolute pleasure to be here. My name is Ashish J. Thakkar. I was a refugee. I'm a school dropout, an entrepreneur, a philanthropist, an astronaut to be next year, and more importantly, I'm a fourth-generation African. I'm the founder of the Mara Group and the Mara Foundation. Why do birds have legs is something that I discussed with my spiritual leader, whose picture you saw on the screen, Morari Bapu. He was telling me he had a deep thought about why do birds have legs? If they want to go from point A to point B, a bird can fly. So why did God give birds legs? They don't need legs. They have wings. They can go everywhere. And then he said, I thought about it, and he said, my reasoning and my thought process was that birds have legs because God wanted to keep them grounded. They wanted to keep them on earth. And similarly, he told me, he said, humans, we as individuals, we as people, also fly, but in different ways. We get success, we get prosperity, we have access to power, and all of a sudden we start floating. But we must always remember that God gave us legs to remain grounded and to be humble and on the ground. His core teaching is truth, love, and compassion. Three very, very simple but very powerful words. And I've been very lucky because I've been exposed to him since the age of 7. And these three words have played a huge part in my personal life, but also in my professional life. And hence, we as Mara, Atlas Mara, and all of our companies have a firm philosophy that if you genuinely do good, you will do well. I'll give you a bit of a background, if I can. Okay, the slide's not turning, but I'll give you a bit of a background. My family left from Persia a few hundred years ago and went to India. And in the late 1800s, my father's family left India and moved to Uganda, purely looking for trading opportunities, 125 years ago. Similarly, my mother's family left India in the early 1900s and moved to Tanzania. My mother was living in a small village in Tanzania called Mwanza. And Mwanza was very far from the capital city of Dar es Salaam, of Tanzania, which was Dar es Salaam. And therefore, she used to cross Lake Victoria, as you can see on the map, and get to Kampala. And that's how my parents met. My parents met, got married, and lived in Uganda. Then they moved to Kenya and Rwanda, and then moved back to Uganda. Then unfortunately, in 1972, the Idi Amin saga took place. So my parents got kicked out of Uganda in 1972 with my sister and moved to England. They had lost everything they had. So my father got a job in the Ford factory. My mother got a job in the Walker's Crisp factory. They built up a little bit of capital, set up a small business, built some more capital, and bought a small home. But my parents just were missing home. They were missing Africa. They were speaking in Luganda and Swahili to all their friends. They just wanted to come back home. So in 1993, my parents, my sister and I, we moved to Rwanda. And 9 months later, unfortunately, the genocide broke out. So me, my sister and parents were refugees for 35 of the 100 days during the genocide. We were at home for 9 days, and then we were in Hotel de Mille Collines, which is famously known as Hotel Rwanda. How many of you have seen Hotel Rwanda? So we lived there during that genocide for 9 days, and then we were taken to the École Française, and then to the airport, and then evacuated to Burundi, which was unfortunately going through the same situation as well. So we luckily came out alive, but unfortunately we lost everything we built as a family from 72 to 93 in 94 again. After that, we moved back to Uganda as a full circle. Now here I am, a young individual, a teenager who can understand what's happening. And I could see people were keeping a distance from my family, scared that if they get too close to my family, maybe my family will ask for a favor. Maybe they'll ask for some money. Maybe they'll ask for some help. So they kept a distance. And I felt like I wanted to, and I felt like I needed to do something about it. So at the age of 15, I quit school, and I took a $5,000 loan and set up a little IT business. So I am probably the most uneducated person in this room officially. So I took this loan and I set up a little IT shop in Kampala. I flew to Dubai. I filled my suitcase with IT parts, came back to Uganda, and I sold it. I got the cash Monday to Friday. I'd sell, get the cash on a Friday, fly back to Dubai, fill my suitcase, come back, sell. And I did this every weekend for 4 months. So I went back to my suppliers after 4 months and said, listen, guys, you know, you've seen me here. You know me. I love you. You love me. Now, can I please get some credit? And they said, but you're from Africa. I said, yes, I'm from Africa. And they said, no, you're not getting credit. I said, okay. And this is in 1996. And I got very upset. I said, you know, what do you mean I'm not getting credit? And they said, yeah, we're not gonna give you credit. So that's when I decided that I set up a base in Dubai in 1996 and get credit as a Dubai company. And then I started getting credit. And as soon as that happened, I started traveling across our continent since 96, 97 to Nigeria, Ghana, Kenya, Tanzania, DRC, Ethiopia, Zambia, Mozambique, Malawi, South Africa, and started supplying IT parts to people that couldn't get credit in Dubai, and I started giving them credit. But before I gave them credit, I stayed at their homes, I got to meet them, I ate with their families, I understood their families, and then I made them promise me that, look, I can't come after you, so please make sure you pay me. And they promised they did, and they did. 18.5 years later, the Mara Group today is headquartered in Dubai. We have physical presence in 22 countries across Africa with 11,000 employees. And then, thank you. But we're just getting started. But we also then set up the Mara Foundation, which is 6-7 years ago, which is our way of enabling, empowering, and inspiring our young entrepreneurs and women entrepreneurs on the continent. What's very important in this? I want you to pick up on two particular things in this. Firstly, success should never be measured by wealth. Money is not equal to success. Please remember that. The media has given me a ridiculous title, which I hate, but that's not the measurement of success. The measurement of success should be, what difference are you making in your community? What difference are you making in your country? So please do not get carried away with this title and focus on the real success, which is making a difference. And secondly, that we must genuinely do good and do well at the same time. We have to make a difference. That is our role. And regardless of your background, your age, your circumstances, you've been through challenges, your family went through this, your family went through that, it's possible. You can do it. Stick to the core principles of truth, love, and compassion. Be honest, be principled, be ethical, be hardworking. Don't cut corners, and you will get there. Sooner or later, you will. Guys, we are the place to be. We've got 6 out of the 10 fastest growing economies in the world are in Africa. The most naturally rain-fed arable land in the world is in Africa. People are talking about food shortages, yet we're the breadbasket of the world. When you think about, we have 52 cities on our continent with over 1 million people in each of those cities. We've got all the amazing things, and we can all see it, and we can realize it. But we must remember, the Mara logo is the African lion. And my joke, which a lot of people don't like, and that's why I love it even more, is that the Indian tiger and the Chinese dragon have had their days. It's now the African lion's turn. And guys, we are so lucky. We are so lucky, all of us, that we are able to play a role and be active on our continent today. I have been active on our continent, running around doing business for the last 18.5 years. And I have never seen so much global excitement that I see today. This is our time. This is ours to mess up. And we're not going to do that. We have to perform, we have to achieve. Especially the youth. Especially we, the youth. And people keep on saying, have you heard of this thing? People say that we, the youth, are the leaders of tomorrow. Have you guys heard that? It's rubbish. We're not the leaders of tomorrow. We're the leaders of today. But we have a big responsibility. We cannot leave anyone behind in this. We're lucky. 50 years ago, we didn't have the political stability that we have today. We have great leaders in place. You've seen we had a peaceful, fair, and free democratic election in Nigeria, our biggest economy on the continent. We had a peaceful democratic election there. Our leaders have played their part. Entrepreneurs have played their part to kind of get us to where they are. Our fellow citizens have played their parts. But everyone, every single individual on this continent deserves to be a part of our history in the making. Everyone. And we have to play that role and ensure that everyone does play this. Our values as Africans mean that we care about our community. We give back to our community. Our generosity, our hospitality is a part of our culture. It's a part of our values. We cannot forget our core values on this journey. Everyone should be a part of this. Let's make a pledge today. Are you guys going to make a pledge with me? That's great. I mean, I thought I was the only crazy one. You don't even know what the pledge is. Great. We're all flying to space. No. So let's make a pledge today. And I, personally, Ashish J. Thakkar, I'm pledging that I am not going to rest. I am not going to rest until I have impacted, enabled, empowered, and inspired millions of our people on this continent. And I want you to make this pledge with me. It's time that we change the African narrative. This whole ridiculous thing about Ebola is a serious issue and it needs to be fixed, but the perception versus reality globally is frustrating and annoying. Look at how our entire continent suffers. People canceled their Christmas holidays. Instead of going to Kenya and South Africa, they ended up going to London. And do you know that the Ebola epicenter is closer to London than it is to Kenya and South Africa? This is our perception versus reality issue. What we live every day is not what's being realized out there. And it's our time. The only way we can make this difference is by if we collectively tell our story. And that's why it's thanks to the Africa Development Bank that we get TEDx to tell our story and get our version out there, which is the real version. And what's important is that look at how we can leapfrog as a continent. We don't have the legacy problems that the West has. We don't have those legacy issues. So we should stop making excuses and stop looking at them as challenges and start looking at them as opportunities. Because not only I face them or you face them, we all face them. But it's an opportunity and it's our opportunity to fix. We have mobile telephony, as we've heard before. We don't have traditional banking systems across the continent. Hence, Atlas Mara is going to be there to disrupt. Marasont, our e-commerce company, is going to serve the people to do shopping like nobody else. It's our time to disrupt. We've got to make it happen. And to sum up, I've been asked so many times, and I've said this many times, that when will Africa catch up? And I have said that we're not going to catch up. Because we, as Africans and as a continent, we are going to lead the way. God bless you. Thank you.